Hello, and welcome to this next Property Entrepreneur podcast. And for the first time ever, we're going to be doing something pretty unique. So, since 2013, we've been running the Property Entrepreneur program, and ever since 2013, it's been the blueprint is unique, it's proven, and every year since 2013, it's been oversubscribed, which means every year, unfortunately, we've had to turn people away from joining the program. What I'm going to do this year, for the first time ever in 8 years, is each month after the program workshop, because we are literally turning people away now, and it's, whilst obviously Property Entrepreneur is a commercial business and we want to generate sales, also this blueprint is the framework that we use to fundamentally improve our lives, our businesses, our relationships, and to achieve wealth, health and life by design in everything we do. So what I'm going to do for the first time ever is I'm going to start sharing each month behind the scenes what our delegates are learning. So every month you're going to get an insight. Obviously it's not going to be as in depth because every month is a whole day's worth of workshop, plus homeworks, plus midweek mentoring, plus frameworks, plus resources, plus blueprints. But what I'm going to do is give you insight to what to focus on each month. So even if you have to wait till next year to actually join the program, you can start to put some of this into practice and start to get a feel for what to be doing and when to do it. So last week was the first workshop of Property Entrepreneur 2022. So Property Entrepreneur program starts every October and it runs for 12-month cycles. Now, without confusing things, whilst the program starts in October, the new year doesn't actually start till January, and the business cycle starts on the 1st of April. So the easiest way to explain this is we on Property Entrepreneur race our businesses in the same way you would race a car around a track. And what that means is in the summer, the car is full steam ahead, we're executing against the plan, we've learned how to race and we put our foot down and we thrash it round the track. When it gets to the end of the summer though, we're tired, we're exhausted, and that's actually the end of the year, the end of the race season, the end of the competition, the end of the championship season, and the year finishes at the end of September. What we then do is we switch gears into October and we put the car on cruise control and we just start to listen to the engine, look at the damage that's been done to the business, look at what works well, look at what doesn't, and start to think about next year, what do we want to do? When we get to the beginning of the new calendar year, which is the 1st of January, this is the winter, and this is when we take the car out of cruise control into the pit stop and we stop racing the car, we lift the bonnet and we start to fix it through January, February, March. When the car is fixed and it's ready to race again, that's the beginning of spring, and this is where we start the next time round the track, which is the beginning of the spring, and we start to warm the tyres, test the new systems, test the new frameworks, get the new employees onboarded, and we get ready to race for the next summer. So that's the way the cycle works. And because we've just finished championship season, we're now into autumn, and workshop 1 last week was about autumn. Now autumn is about cruise control, it's about slowing down to speed up, it's about getting introspective, and it's about looking internally at where we are personally, where our businesses are, and what's happening in the market. So the 3 months of autumn are about strategy, and the first workshop is called Where Is There? When people start a Property Entrepreneur, they can't believe that it takes 3 months to create a strategy, whereas once you've been on Property Entrepreneur for a few years, you'll realise that you could spend a whole year trying to create a strategy. Strategy is inch wide, mile deep, it's internal, not external, it's thinking about looking ahead rather than looking at where we are now, and it's being very, very strategic. So workshop 1 is Where Is There? And this month we had 4 workshops. So the first workshop, when we're starting to think about where is there, is what we call cave time. The second one is the bounce back boom. The third one was the long game. And the fourth one was soul purpose. Now, the launch event every year, we have all of our programs together. So we have the program, which is your first year. We have advanced, which is people who've been on for 2, 3, 5, 10 years, or 2, 3, 5, 7 years. And then we have the board, which is my private mentorship group, which I work one-to-one on, who are the top level of Property Entrepreneur. So they all get together on the launch event. So we have an extra workshop, and this is the program, the advanced and the board all mixed together. And we go through those 4 topics. So I'm going to take you through those now, step by step, and just give you an insight to what they are. So the first one is cave time. And the primary project for 12 weeks during the autumn is what we call cave time. Now, cave time is getting off the treadmill. You can't paint a masterpiece while you're running on the treadmill. Get off the treadmill and start to look internally. And what we do is we give our property entrepreneurs 6 different areas to start looking at in their lives and their businesses. And we also give them a journal. This is my journal, my board level journal. For those of you that are watching this podcast live, those of you that are listening on the official Property Entrepreneur podcast recording, we give all of our property entrepreneurs a blank journal in October. And in cave time, you go and find a space to be on your own and start to ask really introspective questions. Over the period of autumn, there's about 15 different questions we ask, 15 different exercises we do. And what the aim of the game to do here is get off of the treadmill, stop running a million miles an hour, and go and spend some time on your own, asking yourself some questions, and just being more deliberate about where you're going, rather than just turning up and swinging the bat every day, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs do. So the first is cave time, and this is the concept of finding a cave. This could be like, for example, this morning, I did it on this terrace, whilst I was watching the sun come up. Other times it might be to go to a hotel or a nice cafe or a restaurant near you. On Monday I'll be on a flight, so I'll be off the grid. I'll have no phone, no distractions. I'll probably have a couple of cave time sessions on the plane. It can be anywhere you want, but the rule is there's no phones, there's no distractions, there's no emails, there's no messages. It's just somewhere that's sacred to get yourself some alone time. So the first thing is cave time. During the next 3 months, start to get a journal, get a notepad, and start to ask yourself questions about who are you, what are you doing, where are you going, and if you were to create a life by design, what would that look like? The second is the bounce back boom. So the second thing we covered in the workshop was the bounce back boom. And what this is about is life by design is a very soft, spiritual, emotional, deliberate, purposeful thing about building a life and journey, experience, adventure that you're going to enjoy. Or rather, you don't even have to enjoy it. It's just that it's deliberate. If you live a life by design, you'll get what you want. If you live a life by comparison, you'll get what everybody else wants. Life by design is about creating the sort of whatever you want, whether that's being an empire builder and smashing it out the park, or being a stay-at-home father or mother and working 10, 15, 20 hours a week. Whatever you want, that's your life by design. That's the softer side of things. In order to do that, though, you really need to understand the market. And the bounce back boom is this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Every 15 to 20 years, we get to the beginning of the new economic cycle, and that's where we are now. We're in the third phase, so there's 3 phases. There was the recovery, the rescue, and now the rebuild. We're coming out of the rescue. Once we get back to pre-pandemic GDP levels, which will be end of this year, end of this financial year, probably between December this year and March next year, the UK economy will then go into a rebuild phase, which is post-pandemic, moving from a local to national to global economy. And for those of you in and around Property Entrepreneur, you'll understand how this works. Those of you that aren't, you can download the Bounce Back Boom report, go to the Property Entrepreneur website and just download it. And in there, it will explain to you the 5 shifts we're going to see in the economy. And it's really important that our property entrepreneurs are kept up to speed with this on a monthly basis as to how to make the most of it. So session 2 was about the Bounce Back Boom. And this is about success and failure are very predictable. If you look at any of the businesses that we get involved in, or I get involved in personally, or I invest in, or I sit as a board member or non-exec director for, they're all niche, they're all crest of a wave, they're all low competition, they're all high margin. Success and failure are very predictable. And if you live your life using the same strategies that everybody else in your market does, you know, there's courses about it, all your friends and family are doing it, it's just going to be a very mature market. It's going to be short-lived, and it's probably going to be highly competitive and not hugely lucrative. Whereas if you can understand an economy and understand a market and look at the economy and find the crest of a wave or a niche, that's where you'll find low competition, high margin, fast growth, get on the wave early, surf it all the way to the beach and get off before the masses get involved. That's really where you're going to start getting ahead. So the second session we did was the Bounce Back Boom, showing our entrepreneurs literally, these are the strategies you should use. If you want to do cash flow, these are the strategies you use. If you want to do asset profit, these are the strategies you use. If you want to do asset, these are the strategies you use. And in the local to national to global economic shift we're going to see over the next 3 to 5 years, we even gave them a map of here's the UK, here's all the free ports, the investment, the infrastructure. These are the areas that you want to be considering for different strategies. So the second thing was the Bounce Back Boom. And my tips here would be, or my advice here would be, to really start to master your market and understand what's going on to make the most of it. The third thing we covered was the long game. Now, where people get this wrong is entrepreneurs, investors, landlords, business owners, they're just focusing on today and how to make money today. And lots of people are playing the short game. And the short game is, to be honest, it's where most people operate. It's squeezing the pips out of today. It's focusing on transactions rather than relationships. And it's just short-term games for short-term people, really. What we want to do is start thinking longer term and start thinking about building these relationships. Start thinking about those of you that are in business, you know, you've been in business for a year, 3 years, 5 years, 30 years. You're likely going to be in this for another year, 5 years, 10 years. Rather than just turning up and running on the treadmill every day, just start to think about, if you're going to work hard and swing the bat and work your backside off and take the risks anyway, why not do it in a way that actually creates long-term growth, long-term assets, long-term generational wealth, long-term value in relationships, long-term gain on the balance sheet, long-term commercial advantage and competitive advantage in the market? One of the things I say to start focus on here is the long game, and we literally give our property entrepreneurs a 5-year plan. We do a thing called the Wheel of Life, and we tell them to focus on 8 areas of their life and look at what's going well, what's not going well, and then start to build a 5-year plan and start to think for yourself, in your own 5-year plan, what are the key things that are going to be important for you? Is it relationships? You know, are you looking for a life partner to settle down with? Are you looking to potentially get married? Are you looking to potentially have kids? Where does that fit into your perhaps your 5-year plan? Looking at your cash flow, you know, what lifestyle do you want to live? How much do you need to make? How are you going to build that up over the next 1, 3 and 5 years? Profit. If you're going to actually become wealthy, you need to be, you know, even if you're making £500,000 quid a year, if you're spending £501,000 a year, you're not creating any wealth. Every year, how are you increasing your net wealth position? How are you adding to your balance sheet? What activities are you doing to create surplus bonus at the end of the year? So year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how much is that going to be? And breaking down this 5-year plan to everything of relationships, cash flow, profit, assets, health, longevity, relationships, charity, all of these things that are important in our life. The third session was about long game. And what we did was we gave our property entrepreneurs a number of exercises to go and do to start thinking about what the big picture looks like. And I'd encourage you guys to start thinking about this as well, is why are you actually doing this? What is the actual point? Every day, if you're chipping away and adding an extra 0.5% a day towards the big plan, what is the big plan you're aiming to? And obviously a big part of this should probably be retiring young and retiring wealthy. What age are you going to retire? What number do you need to hit to retire at that age? And each year, how are you chipping away at that? Success and failure are very predictable, and it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Like, people look at the things that we achieve, like the things our board members are achieve, or the fact that Adam and I both retired young, retired wealthy this year, and you look at that and just think, you know, it's okay for them, they've got this, it's okay for them, they've done that. But that's 10 years of graft, grind, blood, sweat, tears, risk, everything you can imagine. So if you're going to spend 10 years doing this, you might as well have a happy ending at the end. And what are you doing to work towards that? So that's the long game. That was the third session. And then the fourth session was sole purpose. Now, one of the reasons property entrepreneurs are so popular, I think, is it's not just about making money. Our 3 focus areas is wealth, health, and life by design. Wealth, retire young, retire wealthy. Health, being on your AAA game and being here for a long time. And then life by design, really understanding who you are, why you're here, what makes you tick, and how can you enjoy your life to the best of your ability. Because whatever you want to do it now. There's only so many tomorrows. One element of this, which is very advanced, it's what we teach on advanced, it's what we focus on the board, is about spirituality. And spirituality for some people can be very woo-woo. You know, it depends what source you follow, what spirit you follow, what religions you follow, what beliefs you have. And it doesn't matter whether you're religious or you're atheist or whatever. It's starting to understand what can you do in this life to enjoy your life better. And sole purpose, in the same way as we do things like random acts of kindness or we do karma credits, one of the blueprints we teach is sole purpose. And this is about understanding that you have a purpose on this earth. Like you have a sole purpose. Now, this could be anything from academics, which is like Myers-Briggs, or wealth dynamics, which explains scientifically and academically who you are and what you do and why you're good at what you do and what you should do more of, what you should do less of. That's very academic. But then you also have the soul element of it, of like your purpose, your mission, your reason why, the things that make you tick, the things that you're in flow with. And there's a whole spectrum from the academic side all the way up to the spiritual side. And it's just tuning into these different layers and levels and starting to appreciate who you are and why you're here. And what we did was we gave our property entrepreneurs 6 different focus areas, everything from academics and models and things like the ikigai, up to the softer side of things like the soul and how to understand how to open your soul, have an open soul or a closed soul, the 4 levels of the theatre of life. So understanding most people just live this life at either a physical or a psychological level, where actually if you can get back to the spiritual and the soul, it's a much deeper of understanding of who you are and just really opening up to make the most of it. And soul purpose is very advanced, but it's also a life-changing experience and understanding of who we are, why we're here, and how to make the most of it. So they were the 4 sessions we focused on in workshop 1. Now that's a whole day's worth of content. It's a whole month's worth of homework. You're never going to crack it in one go. But I would say for those of you that didn't make it on the program this year, don't miss out and have to wait another year. Start thinking about doing some of these things. So just to run you through those with a couple of top tips. First is cave time. Mornings and weekends should be sacred. Get yourself a journal, keep off your phone, off social media, have a dopamine detox, which is another thing we teach on Property Entrepreneur, and just get in your journal. Start to ask yourself some questions about who you are, what you do. Just get to know yourself a bit better. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? What do you want to keep? Start to think about these things and have some cave time. Think about 2022 and what could your life by design be. The second thing is bounce back boom. My biggest advice here would be master the market. Understand what's happening. What strategies should you be getting into? What strategies should you be getting away from? What are the opportunities in the market? What are the risks in the market? Go out there and read the news, read the press, read the national planning frameworks, read your local council plan. Understand all the stuff that's happening and really master your market and understand that timing is a moving target. It doesn't matter if we're in a boom or a bust, there's always opportunities in property. Master the market and understand what you can do this year ahead of the bounce back boom. The third is the long game. It's just starting to understand that whatever you're doing, you've been doing it for years. Like you look at where you were a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago, you're probably still on this journey, but really how far have you progressed forward? Have you really become a more self-aware person? Have you really added more value to your community, to your charity, to society? Have you actually developed deeper relationships? Have you actually created net wealth? Have you actually increased your financial position on an annual, monthly basis? Are you actually giving as much as you're taking from this world and from this life? Start thinking about the long game and just think you're going to be here anyway, but what can you do on an annual basis to significantly move you forward? Every year I'm a different person. Every year I do different things in business. And every year I'm significantly more progressed in my personal development, my self-actualization, my engagement and involvement and understanding of my relationships, my net wealth position. All of these things significantly increase on an annual basis because I use this blueprint. It's what our property entrepreneurs use. I'd encourage you to start using the same. And then the fourth is soul purpose. The biggest tip here really would be start to move away from the physical and the psychological. Like most of us think we're here to play a game. We're driven by anxiety, by stress, by ego, by social media, by all these fake things that are created to probably just distract us and slow us down really. Start moving away from the physical and the psychological and start to move into the spiritual and just start to think, who are you? Like if you had a soul purpose, this believing that this, your soul has an age. One of the things we taught our property entrepreneurs was how old their soul is. I'm a very old soul. I've been here 1,000 times. So I practice certain things. Other people are young souls. They behave and take a different approach and aspect to their life. When you understand what your soul is, you can create your life by design a lot easier and be a lot more content in who you are and why you do what you do. Start to move away from the physical and psychological and stop being the actor and just turning up and doing what you do on a daily basis. And start thinking more about your spirit. Like, who are you? Where do you get your energy from? What gets you excited? And your soul. Why were you put on this planet? If you were to believe that every soul is the best at the world at something, what are you the best in the world at? I believe that. I believe every single person here is put here to be the best in the world at something. What is that? How do you understand that? We've given all our property entrepreneurs the exercises to spend the next month going away and doing that. But in the absence of you having those, just start to think, who are you? Why do you do what you do? And what gets you going? And also probably be open rather than closed. Don't walk around this life with a fixed mindset and shelter in your thoughts and your emotions and locking yourself away like a caterpillar in a chrysalis. Like, you're scared of the world, everyone's out to get you, it's you against the world, you know, that sort of thing. Try and open up and be more like a butterfly. Get out of that chrysalis and think that we're all on this journey together. You know, we're spinning at 7,000 miles an hour through the middle of nowhere, through the middle of the universe. If you think about that and you think, actually, do you know what, we should probably stick together in some capacity, just start to connect, start to open, start to be more abundance mindset, start to connect more, have positive energy, put good vibes out in the world, say hello to people, just try and shift gears and enjoy your day on a daily basis. You know, whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. So with that in mind, hopefully that gives you some stuff to work on today and tomorrow and for this month. And for the next 12 months, I'm going to share with you what we do on the program each month. So if you haven't secured a place on your program, because again, it's sold out in record time, places didn't even make it to the open market this year. We sold 60 sold out in record time, then went 65, 70, 75, 80, removed the banners, put some extra tables in. We physically couldn't have fitted another person in. So places on the program didn't even go to the open market this year. They only sold to people who came on the 3-day blueprint. Rather than have to wait another year to try and get your space, pick up on these podcasts each month, have a little go at it, start to put it into practice, warm the tyres and live the property entrepreneur blueprint. Try and create your life by design, and whatever you do over the next 12 months, let's move you closer to having health in your life, living on your AAA game, wealth in your life, which is financial independence, retire young, retire wealthy, and a life by design. Figure out who you are, why you're here, what's important to you, and live a life by design that gives you everything you need, rather than a life by comparison, which is following the highlight reel of social media. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're not already subscribed to the Property Entrepreneur YouTube channel, go to the Property Entrepreneur YouTube channel. If you're not already following me on Facebook, or on social media, Daniel Hill on Facebook, Property Entrepreneur on Instagram. And for those of you listening to this on Facebook Live in the Facebook community, I would highly recommend you subscribe to the official Property Entrepreneur podcast. Find it now, subscribe to it now, and you'll get notification when these are released. For those of you listening to this on the official Property Entrepreneur podcast, I would recommend joining the official Property Entrepreneur Facebook community. There's over 7,000 of us in there now. I post content in there multiple times a week. If you ever need me in there, just tag me in a post. I'll always offer you some support when I'm in there. And otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this Facebook Live. I wish you all the best for finding out where is there in the month ahead, and start focusing on your cave time, your bounce back boom, your long game, and your sole purpose. Who are you? Why are you here? And let's head towards that self-actualization and self-mastery that many of us are working towards. All the best. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to catching you all again soon. Take care until then.